Greetings, live those who know silent thinkers. This is Animal Three's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy Mango, South Florida. And today's date is Monday, February 29th, 2018, President's Day. Woo! Okay, well, that is how things happen. Yeah, I was just watching stuff on Facebook. They had that one girl that has a young student that's talking about firearms reform. She was crying. She's pissed off. She's saying NRA BS and all that. And don't get me wrong, I'm critical of the organization at times as well. But they're really trying to push her like some hero of the movement. And I find this as an example of Orwellian rhetoric. Give up your freedoms for security. Make us safe. Government save me. And I'm not trying to talk down on her or condemn her stance, because a lot of times we have passion. We don't want to see people dying on the streets, or folks we love. Folk individuals get their space violated. But there are a lot of areas we have to really focus on, especially natural law, loving one another, and standing for what's right, protecting the innocent, not from governmental delegates. And of course, you got Israel trying to be the opportunistic cheerleader of toughening gun laws and all that. And he has a family. He has three daughters. I'm not going to go there. But his actions puts all of us in jeopardy. And I told people before, and I had an article or his bio that he's involved in Homeland Security, a major conflict of interest. With his actions, Keo Bono, who benefits, including the speaker, where everyone's trying to praise this young girl. Now, some people may call her Sinead O'Connor of the movement. Not gonna wish Sinead O'Connor a mocker by any means, just very interesting but disturbing as well. Put the fear into people's hearts. I never want to see any of us, including the children, be victims of these ferocious acts. Whether it's from a kid or tyrannical governments. Children have been slaughtered by tyrannical governments due to victim disarmament, restrictions, compromises, etc. All you gotta do is read, study, watch some fantastic videos, like Innocence Betrayed by Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, which the late great Aaron Zellman was highly critical of the National Rifle Association. But don't get me wrong, there's some great members of rank and file, and good folks in the executive branch as well. We have to always look at things in the bigger picture. But the whole change how we live, how we think, how we try to protect our lives can be in great danger. And I do praise Miami Herald for talking about psychotropic drugs that Nicholas Cruz may be on during the time. They used to have that courage. And I'm real critical of that newspaper in the past, but it doesn't mean everything they write is horrific or unacceptable. I know I'm digressing, so forgive me on that. But I have to really release this out of my chest. And others are talking about ammo control. I didn't work in Zimbabwe. Yep, I do my homework, friends. So I'm not saying I'm smarter than anyone else. However, I always teach initiative of knowing this knowledge, knowing this information, because knowledge is freedom, and ignorance is enslavement. Speaking of freedom, I just got this from the email a few hours ago by this group called the Zelman Partisans. They're the ones who support Aaron Zelman's legacy, because during that battle, Alan Corn from Second Amendment Foundations are running it, and there's a major controversy on that. Alan Corn, I know Zelman wasn't created about Corn himself because he considered him an opportunist. Zelman was hardcore. I did have an opportunity to talk to him. On just basic stuff. I didn't go too crazy, but I can tell from his voice he was a real deal. However, I can thank Zelman's Partisans because I didn't know about it, because actually they followed me on Twitter, which is great. So you can follow me on Twitter, folks. Don't be shy. All right. So this is a really good article written by Carl Bosjager. It's entitled "Gun Controllers, Shut Up and Listen for a Few Minutes." The Parkland High School murderer appears to have been a prohibited person, unable to lawfully purchase firearms, who was never reported to the NISCS. Sounds familiar? Yes, I know. You're enjoying your dance in the blood of Parkland innocents. This looks like the perfect time to call for more restrictions on rights, because people are upset. You think this one proves people can't be trusted and more laws will fix everything? After all, who really needs a gun when the government is there to protect you, eh? I've already discussed why you shouldn't target the tens of millions who didn't do it, but I know those innocent millions are exactly who you're afraid of. Gee, what do they want to do to us that they need us unarmed? He wondered rhetorically. And no, genocide and ethnic cleansing really wouldn't go down the way you hope. Drop it. So let's look at all the legal loopholes that need plugging, the ones you pretend allow the Parkland horror to happen. Let's see how well government protected those students and faculty. Asshole T. Chumbucket. What, you thought I'd give him the notoriety he wanted by naming the SOB? Had quite the history according to media reports. He has been suspended from school multiple times for violence, acts of destruction, and weapons violations. Incidences going back at least as far as the 7th grade. He was apparently never arrested. Law enforcement was called to his home 39 times in 7 years for threats, harassment, vandalism, window peeping. He was apparently never arrested. He was expelled from school for another act of violence. He was apparently never arrested. Offhand, I say the first dozen failures here were not weak gun laws. I'm looking at law enforcement and the school system. That probably explains why both the sheriff and school superintendent are trying to deflect attention by screaming for, yeah, more gun control laws. And it's funny because I'm not far from the school board. I would love to call these sons of bitches out. I'll proceed. But wait, as the commercial narrator said, there's more. The Sun Sentinel obtained a number of children and family DCF investigative report from September 2016 after the murderer to be cut himself on Snapchat. There's links for this, folks, so please check it out. Sun Sentinel is a South Florida newspaper. Mr. Cruz has fresh cut on both his arms. Mr. Cruz stated he plans to go back and buy a gun. It is unknown what he is buying the gun for, the DCF report reads. But that really didn't raise any red flags. Of course not. Why worry about a violent and self-destructive guy getting a gun? The shooter's mother said her son did not have a firearm. She said she had confiscated his air gun because he didn't follow house rules about only shooting it within the backyard and at targets. And the little fact that his mother didn't even trust him with an air gun still didn't raise eyebrows. Apparently, DCF joins a line of government agencies getting paid to protect and declining to bother. Maybe Florida taxpayers should skip paying and just burn the government share for heat, less administrative overhead, and they get something for it. But here's where things get interesting. The investigation by DCF came after Chum Boy turned 18 after he became a legal adult, after he normally won't be under their jurisdiction. Why? Cruz came under DCF supervision and care because he was classified as a vulnerable adult due to mental illness. Ooh. I'll proceed. How does one go about getting classified as a vulnerable adult in Florida? Does some concerned citizen merely call DCF, who immediately declares him such? Well, they can in certain emergency situations. Even though the cutting was done, that might count. But they came out to investigate because he was already a vulnerable adult. Let me tell you how one gets classed as a vulnerable adult in Florida. If a department has a reasonable cause to believe that a vulnerable adult or a vulnerable adult in need of services is being abused, neglected, or exploited as in need of protective services, but lacks the capacity to consent to protective services, the department shall petition the court for an order authorizing the provision of protective services. Petition the court? And how does that work? The court shall set the case for hearing within 14 days after the filing of the petition. The vulnerable adult and any person given notice of the filing of the petition have the right to be present at the hearing. The department must make reasonable efforts to ensure the presence of the vulnerable adult at the hearing. 2. The vulnerable adult has a right to be represented by legal counsel at a hearing. The court shall appoint legal counsel to represent a vulnerable adult who is without legal representation. A hearing for a judge with advance notice and legal representation. Remember, those is important. See? So far so good, right? D. Hearing findings. If a hearing the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that a vulnerable adult is in need of protective services and lacks the capacity to consent, the court may issue an order authorizing the provision of protective services. Apparently, a judge adjudicated the asshole to be mentally incompetent due to mental illness. PVB members saw where this was going some paragraphs back. I'll explain for similarly mentally incompetent media types and other victimless armors. 18 U.S. Code Section 922, subsection D. It shall be lawful for any person to sell or otherwise dispose of any firearm or ammunition to any person knowing for having a reasonable cause to believe that such person, and goes to subsection 4, has been adjudicated as a mental defective or has been committed to any mental institution. So they say there's no laws in the books. They're all going to blame Donald Trump for it. You know me, I'm critical of the man at times, but I don't jump on that pretentious bandwagon either. I'm bashing him at every single move. Go to some bobbleheads on TV and the teleprompter said so. I'll proceed. So, a fish bait was a prohibited person unable to lawfully possess a firearm. To be a client of DCF, he had to be a mentally deficient. So why wasn't he reported to NICS, which could have then denied his rifle purchase? Did Florida simply not know about this? The NIC's Improvement Amendment Act of 2007 One moment, we got a cart coming through. Bam. So, let's just see what has to read here. The NIAA was enacted in the wake of the April 2007 shooting tragedy at Virginia Tech. The Virginia Tech shooter was able to purchase firearms from an FFL because information about his prohibiting mental history was not available to the NICS, and the system was therefore unable to deny the transfer of the firearm used in the shootings. The NIAA seeks to address the gap in information available to the NICS about such prohibiting mental educations and commitments and other prohibiting backgrounds. Filling these information gaps will be better enable the system to operate as intended to keep guns out of the hands of persons prohibited by federal or state law from receiving or possessing firearms. On my yesterday's show, I did talk about Rick Scott. He signed a bill into law pertaining to this stuff. Hold on here. I'm going to add that to my memo. Come on. But very interesting. You can check on the SDF for the DOJ indictment, the bunk of Russian influence, opposite hypocrisy. That's in that article. So you can check it out yourselves, please. So, and that was signed by Governor Flip-Flop Rick Scott. So laws are in the books and achieve nothing. I'll continue on here. In case you media and other rights violators have forgotten, another bucket of chum was able to kill 32 people and wound 17 more at a school because the Virginia authorities neglected to report him. The NIAA fixed that loophole that let government screw up. We don't need more human civil rights violating laws, no assault weapons bans, no licensing registrations. Improve, preemptively prove your innocence prior restraints. We need the schools, cops, DCF, and whoever the heck was responsible for reporting to do their freaking job. They're sucking taxpayer money currently not due. Let's close the government. I'm too lazy to bother loophole. Then the FBI, what? The FBI's what? Multiple credible reports of a named threat. I'm too busy to go on Starbucks loophole, which likewise needs to be closed by closing the FBI. Wouldn't have mattered either. Well, my comment says the truth shall set you free and piss off your enemies. Prove me wrong if you dare. So there are laws in the books. You can't blame freedom. You can't blame the National Rifle Association for what happened. It's in the books. You can't even blame the president. Yeah, folks in government think they're smarter than everybody else. All you gotta do is read, my friend. There's a link for that U.S. code law too. It'll take you to Cornell Law University. But all those folks want tougher firearms by its people and ammo control. How about Homeland Security that one time was purchasing 1.6 billion rounds and other government agencies? That's a red flag. That's the one all those gun reform supporters, activists should focus on now. Just look it up. I've been following this stuff for a long time. So pay attention. But I gotta say, Mr. Ballier, you did a fantastic job. Clear a lot of stuff out. That's why I'm not too shocked at what I read. Because government knows best, friends. That means it's totally screwed up. A cluster muck. A muck production. That's what government's very good at. That's what I'm going to be talking about. Go to that. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you may say something interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to me. Hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Minds.com, futurenets.club, patreon.com/third with 3 eyes. If you want to be a donor, that'd be great. And hit me at gab.ai. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or to your encrypted ones, LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. Alright, my friends, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that the body active is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. May your guardian spirits be with you.